Hello all, Joe Hooker 11 here, and I'm bringing you another episode of the Joe Hooker 11 show. And so today I wanted to go into kind of writing, which I do a lot of writing. I've written multiple books, which I published through lulu.com, plug. And anyways, I just wanted to kind of go into why I decided to go into writing and whatnot, kind of maybe help anybody out that needs to I was thinking about becoming an author and whatnot, kind of the things that I've kind of experienced and whatnot, just kind of some ideas and whatnot. So, anyways, I first started writing when I was 13. I mean, I'd always kind of done some writing and whatnot, and I've always enjoyed writing. But when I was 13, I'd been going through cancer for a couple of years, and I decided I was watching The Return of the King, and I decided, you know what, I really want to do something kind of similar to that. Kind of, I pretty much I said I could do a better story than Peter Jackson did, which technically I still can. I mean, Peter Jackson, blah. But anyways, that is neither here nor there. I digest, and anyways, so I wrote a parody of the Lord of the Rings. That's what I did. It was over 500 pages long, and I actually kind of I enjoyed writing it. And so later on, when I started kind of becoming more of a kind of become my own person and whatnot, kind of that had gotten some of the writing skills down, I focused more on kind of the things that I wanted to do. Like I I will be posting my episode that I did plugging my alternate history series, the Civil War one, Rise of the Confederacy. But I have all these ideas of like fantasy stories that I wanted to work on. Like there was there's one story that I've been working on for a couple of years now, which is basically about a king over this kingdom that they've just finished this 13-year long war that's been going on, and they're trying to settle back into peace and whatnot, trying to get back to things. But then it comes to find out that there is a faction that is kind of working behind the scenes to kind of take over the whole operation and whatnot, and magic swords and whatnot. Which I think that when I finally get it done, it's going to be pretty sweet. But I've also done some science fiction writing and whatnot. Like there was one where I was going to work on kind of taking off the premises of Babylon 5 and Deep Space Nine, kind of the space station in space. But what it was going to be was that there was an intergalactic invasion from a religious zealot society that they come in and try to pretty much wipe everything out because they don't believe that anything that's not them should live. And one of the generals of the faction of our galaxy, called the Terran Alliance, decides that we're not doing what we should be doing to win this war, and so he takes over the entire galaxy pretty much, and he becomes a tyrant. So the space station, commanded by this one captain, ends up having to fight a war against two enemies, two juggernauts of enemies, in an attempt to save the galaxy and whatnot. I think that's going to be an awesome story when it finally gets finished. Again, when it gets finished. But I have all these ideas that kind of go through my head and whatnot, that things I really want to do, writing and whatnot, and kind of some ideas, kind of some of the things I've learned as I've kind of written is, first off, you don't have to have it perfect. A story should be a work in progress. You don't need to have all the spelling correct. You don't need to have all the grammar correct, because that's going to come in time. You're going to learn how to do it, and it's going to be fine. You just have to be kind of relaxed about it. Secondly, you can't be rigid with your story. You can't be like, okay, this is the only way this is going to do is going to work out. I like to think that each story is alive in a sense, and that it can tell itself. And that if you're willing to let the story kind of tell itself as you're writing, it'll take your story in ways that you never knew that it would take it, but also that it would be a lot of times it's better than what you had planned. And if it ends up being something you don't like, that's why we have editing. That's why there's the first draft, the second draft. You can even do a third draft. and you have people read the story. You have people beta read the story so that way they can go, okay, there's this, that, and the other thing that I think you could do and whatnot. I really like this. There's some spelling that you tried to write lead, but you wrote lead, and auto correct didn't work and whatnot, and didn't fix it. But that's the point of writing and whatnot, is that you have to be flexible, and you can't get frustrated with it, because there are days where you're just going to hit a roadblock. You're going to be like, "Bleh, I just don't know what to do. I don't know where to take the story." That's times when it's good to take breaks and whatnot. You don't need to focus entirely on your stories just while writing. I mean, when you're in the zone, you're in the zone. But you need to also allow yourself time to take breaks and breathe, because that's the only way to keep the creative juices going. And also, don't write it for other people. Write it for yourself. Write something that you want to read. And that's what it really comes down to, is, are you going to enjoy what you've written? Do you want to read the story, or do you want other people to read the story? And if you want other people to read the story, are you going to enjoy what you've written yourself? Because if you can't enjoy what you've written, then there's no point in writing the story, because you won't enjoy it at all. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say on the subject and whatnot. This is. I hope that somebody's found this interesting, found this useful, and hopefully I've helped inspire some people with their own writing processes and whatnot. And believe me, writing is enjoyable because it's the one thing that you do in your life that you pretty much you have control over. You can escape the maelstrom of day-to-day life, the doldrum, and kind of get into a world where you pretty much are God, pretty much. And I don't use that blasphemously, because you are the creator of the story, so you should be able to have fun with it. And that's what writing is about. It's about having fun. And anyways, like the show, subscribe to the show, and I hope to talk to you all soon. And you all have a good day.